So I've played Satisfactory for a long time, and I've always wanted to do a little series on it, basically seeing if I stick to the objectives, how long it would take me to beat the game. I looked it up, and a day in the game is 60 minutes, so I'm going to break up each video into 60-minute segments. With the latest update for 1.2 in experimental mode, they made some interesting changes to the game where you can randomize the location of each node, making the game a bit more random, which is a lot of fun actually. So this means that you have to take a bit more time at the beginning of the game to find a good spot to start at. I found a good spot pretty quickly with iron, limestone, and copper all in the same area. I got my hub built and chose my first milestone to fully pursue. Then it was time to get the power up and running, which is really important in the game. I'd got iron plates being created and started in on concrete because we are going to need a lot of concrete. In the spot I found, there were 2 decent iron sources right next to each other, so I started in on getting iron rods into production. Because it was close by, I thought I should also get wire production up and running. I needed to get more wire quickly to get my power up and running, so I used a little workaround where you create a workbench and chip away at a resource while you also build what you need. Power is always kind of an issue at the very start of the game, so it's important to stay on top of it. This means collecting a lot of leaves and wood as you walk around. The start of the game is a lot of using that workaround to get the items you need quickly. I got super lucky with my starting location because in the normal game, this purple stuff is hard to get to and to find. I have all of my milestone objectives building, so this is a good time to go and look around to see what's close by. With the update, I wish they would have randomized the location of all the slugs, but I get why they didn't. Because of my previous playthroughs, I knew the location of a hard drive, which also ends up giving you a lot of good resources for the start of the game. It just means that you have to fight off these guys that aren't really that hard to kill in all reality. To get this hard drive, you need to build 2 biomass burners to power it up so you can open it. Then connect it and take your hard-earned hard drive. At this point, the milestone resources should be good to gather, so it's time to head back to the hub. First milestone down for the day, time to start the next. The next milestone has me working towards more iron plates, rods, and copper wire. Because of the first milestone, I can now build base structures, which make it easier to build your factory. So that means that I have to rebuild the factories I already built so that they aren't so messy. 2 things I wish the game had: the ability to turn off the day-night cycle, and a clock so that you knew what time it was in the game. Because of the way I had things set up from the get-go, the second milestone wasn't as much of an issue, but I did need more iron rods. But I get distracted easily, so instead I got my concrete factory back up and running. Eventually I did make it over to the iron rods and picked up enough to finish out my current milestone. Now it was time to start making screws, which means I would need to start making more iron rods, so I started fixing up my iron rod part of the factory. The second milestone gave me the ability to split and merge resources, which ends up being super helpful in making your factory more efficient. What it really means is if my mine is pumping out 60 iron ore, I can have 2 smelters taking that iron ore and making 30 iron ingot each. But once again, power can become an issue because you are making machines that are eating up the power you are creating. Another thing about making a lot of machines is that you need a lot of resources to make those machines. It's a vicious cycle. One thing I like to do as the game progresses is make sure that my whole power system is connected. That way, if there's an issue, I know where it's coming from. In the early game, it's a real pain to have enough concrete because it takes a long time to make it, but as the game progresses, this becomes less of an issue. This is also why I decided to start mining more limestone and creating another factory spot for concrete. And once again, the thing I'm lacking most is concrete. To get the secondary concrete going, I had to sit building the resources at the craft bench. This will happen a lot. I kind of lost sight of my objective for a bit here, but then I realized I could craft most of the screws that I need to move on with this milestone. Something that happens to me a lot in games like this is that I get sidelined on the actual objective, and I really need to work on not doing that. Like, here's a good example. All I needed was more iron rods, and I could have crafted the screws I needed, but I got stuck on making too many iron rods and not just what I needed at the moment. And once again, I needed more concrete. Eventually, I did realize that I had enough iron rods to make the screws I needed, so I just sat at the crafting bench making them. Power was starting to become a premium that I needed to address, so I started in on building my power bank. But first, I really wanted to make more iron rods for the screws that I was going to need for the next milestone. Because iron rods only use 15 ingot, and I was pumping out 60 ingots from the smelters, it meant that I needed to build 4 constructors, so all of my ingot was being used up. So this is when power was finally becoming a problem. This meant it was time to start making a power facility so I wouldn't have to worry about it as much. I like to use 3 storage units, one that holds wood, one that holds leaves, and another one that holds the other resource that we can turn into power that I can't remember the name of at the moment. Rather than make the factory wait for me to make the power facility, it's quicker to just build a biomass burner while I build it to keep the cogs turning. Then I can get back to building this wonderful little power facility. It involves 6 constructors, so I'm going to need a lot of reinforced plates to make that happen. And because the platform for this little project is rather large, I'm going to need more concrete. I don't know where, but I used up some of my reinforced iron plates that I built up, so I need to spend more time making more. I remember where I used it. I made a MAM so I could start researching things as I'm building out this power facility, which is good because I have a lot of things I could be researching at the moment. It takes a bit of pre-planning to get everything preset for when solid biofuel is an option in this plant. It's an efficient setup though, because you can easily add 2 biomass burners to the end of the build when you need more power. So closing out the first day, I kind of lost sight of my main objective, but I'll pull it together on the next day, hopefully.